What's up everybody, this is Master EN Gamer, and merely days after the PTR patch went up featuring brand new nerfs for both Brigitte and Doomfist, we are about to get even more nerfs for Brigitte and Doomfist. That's right, just a couple hours ago, Jeff Goodman posted on the official Overwatch forums outlining further nerfs for these two heroes, which are also soon going to be coming to the PTR. Granted, Brigitte also has a slight healing buff on top of this, but overall, it's looking pretty extreme. So starting with Brigitte, Shield Bash damage reduced from 50 to 5. 50 damage to 5. On top of the current nerf she has, which prevents her Shield Bash from going through enemy barriers. This is possibly devastating. Now, people of course have been hating on Brigitte forever, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people who are super excited to hear about this nerf. And for the record, I was very excited to hear about her barrier nerf that wouldn't let her Shield Bash through barriers. But this maybe is a bit too much. I have some thoughts about why I think they're doing this and why I think they're doing it now, but I'll get to that after I actually cover all the rest of the changes. Inspire passive cooldown reduced from 1.5 seconds to 1 second, meaning that she can activate the ability every second instead of every 1.5 seconds. Duration increased from 5 seconds to 6 seconds, and total healing increased from 80 to 100. Now, essentially what this means is that once the ability is activated, it will last longer and thus provide more healing for your team. Therefore, it doesn't necessitate you actually hitting the enemy quite as frequently as you would otherwise, thus allowing you to output more max healing from dealing technically less damage. Now, according to Jeff Goodman in the dev notes for this, both the Shield Bash nerf and the Inspire buff were done as a way to bring her more in line with being a tank/healer and less of a DPS. The damage nerf reduces her total stun combo damage potential while still allowing whip shot and her basic melee attacks to retain their full strength. Okay, that's pretty fair, but this also kind of brings up the issue of, can she still combo a tracer effectively? Well, what I think they're doing is forcing her to work a bit more with her team. This reduces the notion of a Brigitte being able to solo 1v1 an enemy tracer, or a lot of other heroes to be honest, and rather makes her more focused on needing to work with her team, being able to get further damage from her allied DPS or even the tanks or other supports in order to actually finish off a target. Again, she's less effective in a 1v1. And the healing buffs are done to further solidify her role as a healer primarily, a tank secondarily, and overall just kind of better define the role she's supposed to fill. Now overall, this is absolutely a big nerf to her, and the healing buff isn't nearly compensating the damage reduction for her Shield Bash. Again, I want to address Doomfist changes as well before I get into what I think is actually going on here overall. So Doomfist, Seismic Slam, victims no longer lose air control when being pulled in, and Meteor Strike, inner ring damage radius increased from 1.5 meters to 2 meters. That is the ring where it deals the full 300 damage, and the max damage outside of inner ring decreased from 300 to 200. This is the ring where damage fall off happens, which still reduces the damage down to 15 at max range. So essentially this makes the ring that deals the most damage bigger, but then the damage outside of that inner ring deals less. So it'll be much more effective when aiming for an individual target head on, but less effective when you're trying to hit a whole group of heroes. In the dev notes, Jeff outlines that this will allow it to still effectively combo with other abilities, such as the Graviton Surge ultimate or Sleep Dart, but that'll be less of a free kill on less mobile heroes such as Zenyatta or Ana. Now these changes I think are pretty decent. Again, we're seeing a bit of a crowd control reduction with the nerf to Seismic Slam, and Meteor Strike feels more like a tweak than anything, maybe a slight nerf in that regard, but overall, once again, definitely nerfs because, well, the Seismic Slam doesn't do as much crowd control. So why do I think that they've rather spontaneously just thrown these additional nerfs onto the PTR merely days after the original nerfs which are on there currently? Well, I think it it probably has something to do with the video put out by Seagull just a couple days ago. As I'm sure most, if not all of you have seen by now, the popular streamer and former pro player Seagull put out a video discussing the current state of Overwatch and had some, well, unfavorable things to say about it. If you haven't seen the video, I'll have a link to it down in the description, and I do strongly recommend that you check it out. However, when somebody as prominent as Seagull makes a comment like that, or less a whole video like what he ended up doing, Blizzard probably should panic, and I think that's probably what they're doing here. If I had to guess, I think these nerfs we're looking at right here on screen were planned for the patch following the one that's currently on the PTR. These were essentially going to be follow-up nerfs for the two characters, or changes, since they're not all just intrinsically nerfs, but essentially they were going to be pushed in the event where the current PTR nerfs weren't enough. However, given Seagull's video, Blizzard decided to just go ahead and push these changes now, since they're essentially already ready, in an effort to kinda just flatten Brigitte and Doomfist. And what I mean by that is, they might just be going through the route of, okay, let's just nerf these two heroes to hell, and then buff them up from there, just as a way to quickly fix what seems to be the big problem, at least according to a large chunk of the community. Now, I could be entirely wrong. Perhaps this was something they originally had planned regardless of Seagull's video, and was originally supposed to be in the current PTR patch but had to be delayed for whatever reason. We don't really know, and we probably never will. But it's certainly worth considering, and I gotta say, in all honesty, I'm a bit scared for Brigitte. I do believe this is her 8th consecutive nerf, the majority of those being directly to her shield bash ability, and the damage nerf on it, I guess, is just an effort to make it more like Ana's Sweep Dart, an ability that in and of itself is essentially just a crowd control ability, and removing the damage from it so that she's less of a DPS overall, and giving her the healing buff to make her more of a healer. I gotta say, this is one change that I'm really not entirely sure what's gonna end up happening when we see this played in game. I'm super excited to see what people can do with it just while it's on the PTR, and of course when it eventually comes to live servers, assuming that it most likely will. Doomfist changes I'm a little less concerned about. Again, the Meteor Strike one doesn't seem like much of a nerf, it's more of a tweak or change. The Seismic Slam, yeah, that's going to reduce crowd control, which granted is something I definitely think we need in the game, and in fact that was another thing Jeff pointed out in this post, saying that changes like this were made to reduce the overall amount of crowd control, since it's definitely an issue at this point. But anyways, Doomfist, yeah, I'm not quite as concerned for him. Brigitte, I'm a little concerned at this point. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, in all honesty, given how things have been going, maybe it is just a good idea to nerf these two into the ground and then build them up from there. I don't know. I'm kind of curious either way just to see what ends up happening. I'm definitely going to be playing quite a bit of Brigitte on the PTR these next few days though, just to try and get a feel for how she's going to play now with all these further nerfs. But anyways, let me know your thoughts about these spontaneous new changes, which have rather abruptly been announced. Do you think that maybe they are in fact just a little too much? Or do you think they're exactly what these two heroes need, simply based on how hated they are in the community? Either way, be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and share it with a friend if you really liked it. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and turn on notifications to keep up with all my future Overwatch content. This is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, we've got big changes coming, so have a great day.